Hello. So I am back from Download Festival and I had the most incredible time. Like, oh my god, I'm so sad to be home. It was everything and more than I wanted it to be. Oh my god. So first off, I want to apologise for the voice, and it's taken me a few days to record this because I'm so ill. I've got like the post-festival flu, or like the download lurgy, whatever we're calling it. Like, I'm just sat here and I'm boiling hot, my voice is still gone, and I've just gained a cold, but we're okay. We're okay. I'm still living on that like download high though. So I'm wearing my official download merch that I bought. I only bought one thing because it was bloody expensive, but yeah, it's got the line-up on the back. It's all very exciting. I've made some notes, so this video is like not the most unstructured thing ever. I'm just going to talk about like the general roundup. So I had the most incredible time. I cannot wait to go back next year. I've not booked it yet because I'm skint, but it was just amazing. So I've had a really awful like 7-8 months, and I was really needing Download to be like an escape, but it was just more than that. It was like, it was so good. Now obviously I went alone, so I was quite nervous for that. I knew I was going to be camping with people I didn't know and stuff, but after I joined the Facebook group and I made these friends, once we got there we all just gelled and it was just so good. Like, all of us came together. I think there was like 15 of us in the end, maybe a bit less, and everyone got on so well, and I miss them so much. Since we got home, we've not stopped talking on like Snapchat group chats, WhatsApp, Facebook. Like, I miss you all so much. Starting with the highlights of Download. So let me pick up my notes. The highlights are obviously the people that I'm talking about. So we had a bit of drama with some girls on our group chat originally, and we didn't actually end up meeting them. However, I guess that's just something that will happen when you're meeting strangers. Like, not everyone's going to gel. They went off and did their own thing. So the people who did meet up, we just clicked instantly. We had the best time ever. Like, we all got on so well, even though we were all different ages, we were all from different places, we all liked different music. Even though we all split up to go to different things, we always came back together to reconvene, and it was just so good. Like, it was the funniest 5 days of my life. Like, I laughed so much. So yeah, the highlight was obviously meeting my camp, who we call in Camp Chicken Goujons. Another highlight was the village. The village was just everything. Like, I preferred the village and the camp over the actual arena and seeing the bands, which I know is a bit weird because you're paying like hundreds to see bands, but it was definitely the camp and the village life that like won me over. So yeah, the Doghouse, so good. It was in a tent, so it's covered this year. I loved the Doghouse. I went every single night. Me and one of the other girls, Ree, I think we did every night in the Doghouse till the early hours, so hence the voices being gone. Yeah, the Doghouse, it was just like going into like an alternative nightclub, but it was just all night, just the banging emo tunes. I just loved it. It was just everything I wanted it to be. One of the highlights was this random barbecue chicken wrap that I had during Disturbed. It was just like, you know, when you just need something and it hits the spot. Yeah. A big festival highlight for me was seeing Simple Plan. My original plan was to see a bit of Simple Plan and then leave and go and see Disturbed, because I really wanted to see like Sound of Silence and stuff, but Simple Plan was so incredible that I stayed the whole time. I cried watching it. Like, it was just so good. I was on my own for most of the arena, because even though I had all these incredible camp mates, we wanted to see different bands and stuff, so I mostly spent my time in the arena alone, but I didn't really mind because like when I went to see Simple Plan, I just stood there with my drinks, cried a bit, danced a bit, and it's just so good. And then they came back and they did a secret set at midnight in the Doghouse, which was also incredible. So Simple Plan, thank you, it was the best thing. A big highlight was obviously always going to be Evanescence for me, because I've wanted to see them all my life, and I just love Evanescence. However, it was quite hard to see, because you've probably heard a lot of criticism about how full it was, but the second stage was so full for the big bands that you could literally not move. You couldn't get anywhere near the front, so it was like I could see them, but I could see them in tiny little gaps every time someone moved. So I mean, it wasn't ideal, but I still had an amazing time. Some other good things, so the bar queues were so short. Like, they had all this zigzagging, so you had to walk back in two, but I never queued for more than like 5 minutes for a drink, which I was so happy about, because I just assumed that I'd spend like hours queuing for drinks, because every time I've gone to like a festival or an out outdoor gig. It's always been like, oh, you gotta miss loads of songs to go and get a drink. But no, you could walk straight to the bar, get a drink straight out. The whole 5 days I found that. Same for food queues. I mean, you didn't really queue for that long. Maybe the Toasty Shack you queued for a while because it took them a while to make each one. But otherwise, the queues weren't that bad. A camp highlight was that our toilets in Blue Camp were fantastic. They were like Portaloos, obviously, but they were always clean. They were always stocked up with toilet roll. Like, I never had an issue. I never queued. There was a huge queue at one point for men because in the morning all the men need to go to the toilet at the same time. But for the women, there was like no queues. Always clean. I always loved it. And then once I chose one Portaloo, I tried to go back to that same one the whole 5 days. It was always really nice and clean. And then on the very last day, we went on a funfair ride. In fact, we went on 3 rides while we were there. The Ghost Train, rubbish, don't do it. But like the other funfair rides, like I went on the big one that does this. It was so intense. Like it was, yeah, like throwing you around everywhere. I did think I was going to pass out at one point, but it was so fun. It was like a really good way to end our last night. However, £12. £12 for a ride. So now moving on to lowlights. I wanted to do this second because I didn't want to start the video of complaining because I've had the most incredible weekend and I don't want to complain about it. But just a few things for people who didn't go or if you're going next year. The biggest bad point of the festival was the heat. Now that has nothing to do with download itself, but the heat was so bad. Now we're all like pasty goths, most of us, so 30-degree heat was just like too much, so much. Like, I mean, I'm glad it didn't rain. I was really dreading it raining, but 30-degree heat when you're in tents is just not the one. Like, you couldn't go in your tent for shade because your tent is obviously hotter than outside. And it ended up with me actually missing lots of bands that I planned to see because the walk was so hot and so far to get to the arena that there was parts of me that was like, you know what, I'm just gonna have to sacrifice this band and stay at the camp under the gazebo because I'm too hot. And I know that's the same for a lot of people. A lot of people missed a lot of bands. So I really wanted to see Modsun on the last day, but like there was just not a chance I could walk in that heat to see Modsun and then stay in the arena all day because there was no shade in the arena. I didn't actually go to the arena on the last day until evening time to see Ghost and Slipknot, so that was like a full day of bands that I kind of wasted, but it was just too hot to function. But we had a great time on the camp. We just ended up getting drunk instead. The only other bad thing really was like, because it was a sold out festival, it was like the sheer amount of people in the arena was kind of ridiculous. So the only band that I actually felt like I had a good view of was Simple Plan, just because I'd managed to somehow like weave my way in. But like all the other bands I could barely see. So Bring Me the Horizon, you've probably heard, had like the most incredible set out of the whole weekend. But I personally couldn't really see Bring Me Horizon. I could see the screens, fantastic, but I couldn't see them like in person. So part of me did think like, I could just be watching this on TV. And I felt the same way for Metallica. I mean, I guess if you really love being in sweaty crowds, you could have got closer, but because of the heat as well, especially for Metallica, they played twice and I actually watched probably collectively between the 2 performances, I probably watched about 6 minutes, which is bad because like I was quite looking forward to seeing Metallica and obviously their biggest hits, but I just thought like I'm so far back, I would get a better view if I just go home and watch it on telly. It's so hot, I've been stood all day in the heat that I just thought, you know what, I'm going back to camp. So yeah, I kind of regret it a bit because I feel like I could have stayed and watched Metallica a bit more, but I was just so done by that point that I just needed to go back and like have a drink and then get ready for the Doghouse. Maybe like download's not normally that full because it was the anniversary, it was so full. So I'm hoping next year it'll be slightly less full and we might be able to actually see the bands. The only other bad thing I've got, so again with the overcrowding of the festival, the 2 stages that had tents, so like the Avalanche stage and the other one, like a Dogtooth maybe, I didn't go to that one once, but the stage that had Punk Rock Factory, I couldn't get anywhere near it. I couldn't even get inside the tent because the tent was too small for the bands playing on it. Like Punk Rock Factory had so many people wanted to see them that it spilt out of the tent all around the field, also the toilets and the food places. Like we couldn't even see, I didn't even know where the stage was because I couldn't even like tell. I couldn't tell if like we were supposed to be facing this way or this way because yeah, I could get nowhere near. And I think the same was for electric callboy, but I didn't bother trying. So yeah, it was a bit of a shame because those whole 2 stages I didn't get into once because of the sheer amount of people there. Last couple of bad points, but they're nothing too bad, is everyone says that everything's really far away in Download, and they say like you'll be walking for miles and like half-an-hour walks everywhere, and I was like, as if that's probably if you're like really slow and lazy. But no, they were telling the truth. Like, it was taking about half an hour, 40 minutes to get from our campsite to the arena, probably about half an hour from our campsite to the village, probably 40 minutes to get from the campsite to Refresh Retreat. So it was like a lot of walking. I don't think I've ever walked so much. And then obviously with the heat too, that kind of walking is just like really hard. So yeah, Refresh Retreat. I would like to get Refresh Retreat again. I had 2 showers while I was there, which were nice. The first time walked straight in. The second time though, queued for about 1 hour 45 minutes for a shower, which you might be like, that's not that bad, but in 30-degree heat, let me tell you something, it was bad. It was hard work, and I didn't have any sun cream on at that particular time because I just thought, oh, I'm just going for a shower, I don't need sun cream on, I'll wash it straight off. Bad idea. So yeah, Refresh Retreat, I don't know whether I'd get it again or not. So it was really good to have the lockers because you could charge your like power bank and then you'd pick it up the next day, which was handy. It was nice to have a posh toilet, but I only used the toilet like twice there. And I did my makeup once with a mirror and a hairdryer once in the whole 5 days. So basically, I'm not sure whether I would pay for it again or whether I would just pay for the locker on its own, because I guess it's quite a lot of money when you're not really using it. And also the thing with Refresh Retreat is that it was like a 45-minute walk to it, and that's like the last 5-10 minutes of that walk is over like pure dust, and then you have the shower, you get all clean and fresh, and then you have to walk 45 minutes back, so over the dust again. So by the time I got back to the camp, I needed another shower because I was like sweating my tits off. A lot of people enjoyed Refresh Retreat. Maybe if I'd have planned the timings better. The first time I used to shower was great because I went and did a Zumba, Rock Fit, and then I walked straight to Refresh Retreat, went straight in for a shower. But the second time I went earlier in the day, and no, the queue was horrific. That's pretty much the end of like the lowlights. I did also write this down, but I didn't know whether to say or not, but like this particular woman that served us at the merch stand when I bought this was the rudest woman I've ever come across in my life. I mean, I understand that it was hot and she was probably like fed up with the day, but I literally just said, oh, like, what t-shirts have you got left in a medium? And she was so angry at me for asking you. It was like that honestly, she acted like I kicked her puppy or something. I was just like, and then I was like, there's no way she's talking to me like that. She must be like talking to someone else. But no, she was talking to me. She was fuming at me for asking what t-shirts were left. She literally like pulled a t-shirt down and just held it up like this. And I was like, oh, sorry, is that the only one left for medium then? Let me just think which one I should get. And she was just like, and then she just shoved the card machine at me. She didn't even say anything. She didn't even say how much. She just was like, and I was like, Jesus Christ. So anyway, I paid, got it, but I didn't want it. I reluctantly paid because if I'm not giving money to someone talking to me like this, I really wanted the t-shirt because I was burning my shoulders. So I paid and I was like, oh, I'm glad I got service with a smile, and then walked off. She was probably livid at that, but why was she so angry? Like, I was so polite, I didn't say anything rude. I literally was just like, hi, what t-shirts are left? And she was just like, looked at me like she wanted to kill me. I'm sure everyone else was really nice, but honestly, just like if you don't want to be polite to people and you don't want to talk to people, don't offer to work in a festival. So yeah, that is all my ranting done, to be honest. To conclude, I've got a few things that I have wrote down that I would do differently next time. So if you've never been to Download and you're going for the first time in 2024, these are the things that I made mistakes on or would have changed. So the main one, absolute number one priority, do not use that Euro hike 2-man tent again. Oh my God, it was a disaster. So it was a small 2-man tent. Everyone had it. Me and my friend Reed both had it. But Jesus Christ, it is hard to get dressed in a 2-man tent when you can't even sit up without your head touching the top of it in like 28 to 30 degree heat. I spent like half of the festival like this trying to get dressed. It was just, oh, it was a nightmare. It was hard work. My friend Mia next to us had a tent that she could stand up in, and in the end we like took it in turns to stand in her tent to get dressed because, my God, like that tent was small. So yeah, next year I'm investing in a tent that I can stand in or at least kneel in, because those tents were so small. So I would really consider driving next year. I know there's a huge issue with car parks, but the shuttle bus, man, I nearly died on it. It was so hot and it took like 2 hours on the shuttle bus both ways, and I was so hot that I was like dripping in sweat. There was, when we were in standstill traffic, obviously you couldn't put the windows down because you're on a shuttle bus. It was so bad, I nearly passed out like multiple times. I mean, it was well organised and stuff, like it was really easy process to get on and off it, and the guy that was like commentating in the shuttle bus queue was fantastic. He told a lot of jokes and cheered a lot of people up, but it was just so hot. And also I kind of felt a bit like I'd missed out, because a lot of our group arrived in cars, they met at services and they got there together and carried stuff together. I kind of felt like I'd missed out a bit, because I came a few hours later on a shuttle bus and had to like then walk and meet everyone and set up my tent after everyone else. So I was like, next time maybe I could go in a car and meet everyone at the services as well, and then I could take more stuff too, because I took as much as I could carry, but it just was not enough in terms of like beer and stuff. I've wrote here, more beer, less snacks, because I took a lot of snacks. I took like fajita wraps, everything. Didn't open them once. The only things I opened were the odd cereal bar, not even many. I took about 16, I had maybe 2. And then I ate my whole bag of ready salted crisps because I'm boring. And that's all I ate. Everything else that I brought just kind of stayed in my tent and then like cooked and fermented because it was so hot in there. And then I ended up binning it, so that was a waste. And I could have like brought more beer, because that's what I needed throughout the festival. You needed more beer. Luckily my camp was the most generous camp in the world and just kept handing out beers to everyone. Thank you, Scott. Loads of people gave out beer, and I definitely should have brought more. I did go to the Co-op once, but when I went there was no beers left at all. And the second time I went, I could only get like a little 4-pack, and that was to last like 5 days. So anyway, more beer. I definitely want to bring a trolley next year, because I am on the first day bruised and cut all my arms trying to carry all my stuff, and it was just horrendous. So a trolley would be good. Last few bits of advice: don't bring multiple handbags. I brought like a handbag for each outfit, like over the shoulder handbags, all different ones. So I was like, this goes with that outfit, this goes with that outfit. Did I wear them? No. Did they come out of my bag? No, not once. I literally wore a bum bag for 5 days, and it was all I needed, a bum bag. And then on days I went to the arena, I had a bottle of water sealed in my rucksack. Also, my fancy dress costume, did it come out of my rucksack? Absolutely not. It was too hot to dress up as Princess Peach from Mario. The fancy dress costumes did not see the light. I think that's pretty much it. All I can say to anyone that's not been before and is thinking of going next year, do it, because you won't regret it. It's absolutely incredible. 5 days. I'd also suggest come on the Wednesday, because people that arrived on the Thursday did not have a good time, because it was so busy and trying to find a space. Yeah, not good. And then finally, if you're going alone, do join a Facebook group, because it's the best thing I ever did, joining a Facebook group, finding this group of girls who then led on to like a group of girls and boys. We had the best time, made the best camp family, and I'm going to go with them next year. So do join the Facebook group. Go with an open mind, because you see a lot of weird stuff at Download and it's all incredible. Anyway, here's some photos and videos of us all just being nutters, and thanks for watching.
It's not much, but it's okay. Keep on moving on anyway.
The plan was to have an early night tonight.
Oh God, I hate my life. With one single word. good. Avada Kedavra.